Hello, everybody. We are going to do Lecture 16, Positioning. And positioning is something that you've already encountered a little bit if you've looked through the lectures and you are working through some of the components of your subscription box project. So what is positioning? Well, it's a process that we use to determine the niche, like who is it we are going to actually offer this product to, and why do they need to, why would they want to or need to purchase our product? It's how we occupy a marketplace, all right? So we need to understand the place, the rank, the attitude, and outcomes. All of these things are important in developing a successful positioning concept. All right, so successful positioning strategy. This requires a marketer to know who their product is or service is ideal for. So that's an easier way of restating what exactly positioning is. Some things that you need to know. Well, a position is the space that our product is suited. The positioning is the strategic process of actually developing this market position. So a little bit difference between the noun and the verb there. Okay, positioning statement. This is a short expression of our market position, what we plan to be and who we intend to serve, and our unique selling proposition. That is how we adapt our positioning statement for things that we will actually be using in more public facing ways. You'll actually never see a positioning statement used in public outside of the company. You will see something like a unique selling proposition instead. So differentiation. If you have me in class at some point, you'll know that differentiation. How are you going to be different? Why do people want or should buy your product over someone else? How are you different? You can be different on a lot of things. So this is how we stand out for our competitors. What reason are we giving people to come back over and over again? This identifies a set of characteristics. This provides value. I've said that before, and you'll hear me say it again. Marketers' number one job is to provide value, and by being different, you are providing value when you're in comparison with another competitor. This is also something that competitors cannot easily copy. Now, all points of differentiation are not something that are not easily duplicated, but you want your point of differentiation to be something that is not easily duplicated by your competitors. Okay, what's the difference between positioning and differentiation? Well, we've got a couple of examples here. So positioning, Walmart is a wide selection of products. Target is trendy, fashionable, at reasonable prices. That's how the kind of consumer in the market they're in. Macy's was a preferred go-to shopping destination for upscale brands. They've kind of gotten away from that in the last few years, but that's how they originally positioned themselves, and that's how they hope to get back to. What are points of differentiation? Well, Walmart, wide selection. You can get almost anything and low prices. That's their point of differentiation. Target, they are continually refreshed, right? They're fashionable. They're on trend. Macy's, they have a broad selection of upscale brands, and they want to provide a really engaging shopping experience. So these are the ways they have positioned themselves in the market and in the minds of their consumers, and this is how they're different from one another. So that kind of helps you think through that. What are some of the steps of the positioning process? You want to confirm your understanding of market dynamics. What's the market you're competing in and how are you going to fit? It's a big reason why you did your SWOT analysis. I need to understand, and you need to understand where your competitors are and how you fit in. Where is your best spot within all of the other competitors that are in the market? You need to identify what your competitive advantages are. This is the place where we take advantage of the weakness of our competitors. We take advantage of some of the opportunities they have, and we definitely take advantage of some of the threats that they may have. We look at the whole picture, not just one or two things. We choose competitive advantages that are going to define our market niche. We can define that positioning strategy, who we want to be in the minds of customers that we have, and then we can figure out our next step to communicate that. So this is really kind of a step-by-step play. So confirming the understanding of marketing dynamics. What product, service, or market category are we going to use? What's our target segment? This is our segmentation, targeting, and positioning things that we talked about. What are we going to do here? And what factors make our buyers evaluate and want to choose us when making the purchasing decision? Identify the competitive advantages. Do we compete on price, features, benefits? What is it? What is our point of differentiation and how do we compete? Why would someone choose us? What's our trait or quality or capability that gives us an advantage over our competition? Step 3, we want to choose those competitive advantages that define our niche. This gives you a perceptual map of the cooking channel and all their different shows and where they think they fit within that younger, edgier demographic or that older mainstream demographic. And then, of course, escapism type shows and enrichment type shows. And I think if you get the chance, go back and look at this lecture. It's really interesting to think about the types of shows that each one of these different types of channels have. Okay, these are common positioning categories. I'm not going to go through these. You've got these in the lecture, but it gives you good solid examples of different types of points of differentiation: price, quality, best fit, and category benefit. But go through and look at these because these are very interesting. All right, positioning statement. How do we do it? Well, it's one sentence that identifies our target market and then what we want our customers to think about our brand. So we need the target market, we need the brand name, we need our point of differentiation, our product and service category, and why customers should believe the positioning claims. So we need to think about all of that when we write it. So here is a nice solid formula. To blank audience, product X is the only blank category frame of reference that points to differentiation benefits delivered because these are reason to believe. This is a very nice, succinct way of formulating your positioning statement. Okay. What are some criteria to evaluate positioning? Is it tailored to the market? Is it simple? Is it providing helpful direction? These are all sort of things that we need to think about when developing our positioning statement. Repositioning. Well, repositioning is one of those things that that folks will do when they need to make a move towards something different. And that we'll talk about a couple of reasons why we would do that. Competition, maybe new competition entering the market or leaving the market. Maybe a competitor is highly innovative. Maybe the economy is slowed down or it's sped up. Maybe there's changes in consumer confidence for some reason. There may be politics or social forces at play. We see all of that all around us all of the time that forces brands to make some type of a change. Okay. There's some other reasons to consider positioning. There's changing tastes and preferences, okay? Sometimes people don't want to wear bell bottoms anymore, and there's just a changing preference. So Levi's has to kind of figure out how they're going to stay mainstream, how they're going to continue to evolve with the trends, evolving attitudes and behaviors. You know, things that seem popular 10 or 15 years ago, not popular today, and then things come back. So there's a lot of different things that we have to think about. New segments that are emerging, even new demographics that are becoming into their purchase power. Changes in organizational leadership will definitely do that. You've seen some of that with Starbucks and Apple. Changes in organizational leadership will often end up with waves of things. We call it kind of a wave where it kind of comes over each other. This person will change, and then a new wave of leadership and product changes or service changes will follow. Acquisition of a company or development of new technology. These are all things that we would consider in a company needing to change directions and reposition themselves. Okay, market perceptions, of course, the repositioning process, it really takes an evaluation of where you currently are and then where you want to be. How are we going to change the perception? Because now people think of us in one way. If suddenly Walmart decided that they wanted to start selling name brand clothing, if they wanted to sell Louis Vuitton and Gucci, they've got a big, broad place, a big bridge to cross in order to start to bridge that gap and reposition themselves. So these are just a few of the ways that we reposition. Okay, some of the pitfalls. There's insufficient research. We need to go back to the basic. We can overpromise and deliver, or we just confuse customers. If Walmart starts carrying Gucci, it's going to confuse us not only about Walmart, but possibly about Gucci as well. So sometimes these things are just confusing in their own right. Okay, so implementing a marketing mix, we do so with our positioning strategy, and how does it play into it? How does it fill each part of this? Well, in the product area, it is it capable of delivering everything? Can we adjust our offering so that it will live up to the promise? Price. Are we positioning just based on price relative to competitors? Is pricing a part of our positioning strategy and is aligned with where we need to be? Maybe we can't afford to compete on price anymore. And certainly a lot of companies are in this place right now with our current economy and labor and all of that. Place, are there any supply chain issues? My goodness, we definitely see that lately. And this has been significant for folks and a reason why they may not be able to compete on price alone anymore because of the substantial difficulties in the supply chain and being able to get things to them. Promotion, how are we actually translating this into something that we can promote and then we can put out there in all the different ways that we'll talk about with the integrated marketing communications to get that behavioral shift to occur. How do we talk to people about it? Measuring. Nothing happens in marketing without measurement. We may take a path, we need to measure, see if we're right. And then if we're not, we turn around and we're able to pivot something else. Marketers are some of the best pivoters out there. And that's because we measure everything. So some of the positioning strategies that you can have is you can be first. You can be a follower. Sometimes there's fast followers, right? And then sometimes there's positioning places on as well. Being first are those who are able to accomplish something and earn awareness. As a follower, this is something like we've allowed someone else. We're like the Peloton. We let someone get out in front of us and they're biking and they're taking the win for us. Sometimes this is a really strong play to be. You let other people take the risk. Under positioning, this is when we don't have a clear advantage for our product or our differentiation. Over positioning, when the product has been so narrow, so few people can buy it. And I tend to have students really go with one or the other in their projects, and I see that fairly frequently. All right, confused positioning. It's again Gucci at Walmart. It's too many contradictory benefits, or it doesn't make sense for the brand or the service itself. Doubtful positioning, the way the product position and what it touts are simply too unbelievable and too good to be true. If suddenly Toyota came up and said that their car would be able to fly and you didn't have to have a pilot's license and it wasn't any more expensive, in fact, it was one of their cheapest cars, it would be a very doubtful positioning statement. Positioning problems, irrelevant. When a product claims benefits or differentiation that customers don't even care about. You know, if Toyota comes up and they say, hey, our cars will suddenly can directly drive you to the skating rink, and that's the only place, but you'll never have to navigate there again, people probably don't care about it. That's a silly feature, and we've seen that on a lot of different things. One size does not fit all. You cannot position to appeal to everything. That is why you have different target markets and segmentation. Truths. The best positioning statements are those that are developed collaboratively and have an element of truth in them. The positioning statement template, we went through this before. This is another way of looking at this. What are some important notes? Well, it's not an advertising copy, right? It's the unique selling proposition that goes out in the public. The positioning statement is internal. They're short, they're succinct, and they get the point done. This is our goal of who we want to be and who we want our customers to think we are. All right, important notes. Products that are positioned well, they occupy niche uniquely. Okay. And finally, positioning statements are effective, are realistic. They're not filled with hyperbole. We want something to be truth. We want it to be our internal truth. And we don't have to fill ourselves up with nonsense in order to get that truth, because we really want to be able to accomplish it and we want to measure that accomplishment. So this was it for positioning. It was a real quick one. I sped through it, but definitely take back and look at all of the notes. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next lecture.